I, 19F, am currently dealing with a situation that has completely changed my life. I need to give some background first so everyone can understand how things got to this point. My father Kirk, 45M, raised me as a single parent after my mom left us when I was 4. According to what my dad told me, she had eloped with someone she met at her workplace. I don't remember much about her except for some vague memories of her singing to me before bed and the smell of her perfume. Life wasn't easy after Mom left. Dad started working double shifts at different places to support us. During the day, he worked as a warehouse worker, and at night he would do various odd jobs like being a security guard or working at gas stations. We lived in a small rented apartment in not the best part of town, but Dad always made sure I had enough to eat and decent clothes to wear to school. Throughout my childhood, I watched Dad try to find someone new. He got into different relationships, but none of them lasted more than a few months. Some of these women were nice to me, like Linda, who used to bake cookies for me and help me with my homework. Others made it clear they weren't interested in being a stepmother to a young girl. One woman, Margaret, even told Dad straight to his face that she didn't want to date someone with a kid. I remember hearing them argue about it late at night when they thought I was asleep. The only constant support system in our lives was my Uncle Richard, 48M, Dad's elder brother. He helped us whenever we needed it, especially with my education expenses. He would often buy me books and school supplies without even telling my dad because he knew Dad's pride would never let him accept help directly. When I needed a laptop for school projects, Uncle Richard bought it as my birthday present so Dad couldn't refuse. He was also the one who encouraged me to focus on my studies and aim high, always telling me that education was my ticket to a better life. I worked really hard throughout high school, often studying late into the night after finishing my part-time job at a local diner. I managed to get excellent grades and was involved in several school clubs. My teachers encouraged me to apply to top universities, saying I had a real shot at getting in. I applied to several colleges and got accepted into my dream university, which has one of the best programs for my chosen major. The problem was that it would cost way more than what we could afford. I knew Dad was already struggling with our regular expenses and working extra hours just to pay rent. Over the past year, I had noticed some changes in his behavior. He had started hanging out with some new friends who seemed to be into gambling. He would come home late smelling of cigarettes and alcohol, sometimes excited about winning some money, other times quiet and angry after losing. I decided to approach Uncle Richard for help. He was doing well financially with his own business and had always been supportive of my education. When I told him about the college acceptance and explained our financial situation, he immediately agreed to help. He said he would pay for my first year's tuition and help me figure out scholarships and part-time work for the remaining years. He even offered to help me find a cheap apartment near campus. Everything seemed to be working out until last month. Uncle Richard had agreed to send the money for my tuition and first semester's housing. Dad had convinced him to send it to his account instead of directly to the college, saying he would take care of the admission process since he was my legal guardian. I didn't think much of it at the time since Dad had always been responsible with money meant for my education, even when we were struggling. But then I started noticing Dad acting strange. He was staying out later than usual and seemed nervous whenever I mentioned college. One night, I couldn't sleep because of stress about the upcoming admission deadline, and I heard him on the phone in the kitchen. He was talking to one of his gambling buddies about losing a huge amount in poker games and needing to win it back. My heart sank as I listened to him talk about borrowing money from different people to try to recover his losses. When I confronted him about it the next morning, he first tried to deny everything. He said I must have misunderstood the conversation. But when I kept pushing and told him I would call Uncle Richard to ask about the money, he finally broke down and admitted that he had lost most of the tuition money gambling. He tried to justify it by saying he was sure he could win it back with just a few more games, and that he only took the money temporarily. He promised he would figure something out before the college admission deadline. I was devastated. This was money meant for my education, my future. All those nights studying, all those extra hours working at the diner, everything I had worked for was slipping away because of his gambling addiction. I immediately called Uncle Richard and told him everything through tears. He was furious. He tried talking to Dad, but Dad just kept making excuses and promises about getting the money back soon. The worst part was that he didn't even seem to understand how badly he had betrayed my trust. The college admission deadline is approaching fast, and I don't know what to do. I can't even look at my dad anymore. He ruined my one chance at getting into my dream college. Uncle Richard has offered to let me stay with him until we figure something out, but I feel torn about leaving Dad. Even though he messed up badly, he's still the only parent who stayed with me. He did work hard to raise me alone, but this betrayal feels like too much to forgive. Right now I'm staying at my best friend Ashley's place because I couldn't bear to be in the same apartment as Dad. He keeps calling and texting, saying he's sorry and that he'll make it right, but I don't believe him anymore. He's already lost the money and I know he has no way to get it back in time for the admission deadline. Some of my friends say I'm being too harsh and should give him another chance since he raised me alone, but others understand why I feel so betrayed. Ida for considering leaving him and moving in with my uncle? Update 1. Hi everyone, it's been 2 weeks since my original post. A lot has happened since then, and I want to share everything that's going on. First, I want to thank everyone who offered advice and support. After reading your comments and thinking things through, I decided to move in with Uncle Richard temporarily while I figured out what to do about college. The day I went back to our apartment to pack my things was probably one of the hardest days of my life. Dad was at work, which made it easier. I didn't want another confrontation with him. Ashley came with me to help pack, and we started going through my room, sorting out what I needed to take. I had to get all my important documents, birth certificate, social security card, school records, and everything else I might need for college applications. I couldn't find some of my documents in my room, so I had to look in Dad's room. I felt weird going through his things, but I needed those papers. While searching through his closet, I found an old shoebox pushed far back on the top shelf. I probably wouldn't have even opened it, but it had my name written on it in my mom's handwriting. I recognized it from some old birthday cards I had kept. Inside that box, I found something that changed everything. There were dozens of letters from my mom, all dated within months after she left us. They were still sealed, never opened. The earliest one was dated just 2 months after she left, and the last one was from about a year after she went away. In all those letters, she was begging Dad to let her see me. She wrote about how leaving was the biggest mistake of her life, how she had realized that the man she left with wasn't worth losing her daughter over, and how she wanted to make things right. Some letters had tear stains on the envelopes. In one of them, I could feel something inside. It turned out to be a small heart-shaped locket with my baby picture in it. She had written that she wanted me to have it, even if she couldn't give it to me herself. Reading those letters made me feel sick to my stomach. Dad had always told me that Mom never tried to contact us after leaving, that she had completely abandoned me and didn't care about what happened to me. I took all the letters with me and spent the whole night reading them at Ashley's place. Each one felt like a punch to the gut. Mom had written about coming to my school to try to see me, but Dad had called the school and made sure they wouldn't let her near me. She wrote about sending birthday presents that I never received. She even wrote about trying to set up a college fund for me, but Dad had refused to accept any money from her. The next day, I went to confront Dad about the letters. He was home when I got there, sitting on the couch watching TV like nothing was wrong. When I threw the letters on the coffee table in front of him, his face went white. He tried to grab them, but I pulled them away. That's when he finally broke down. He admitted everything. Mom had tried to come back multiple times in the first year after leaving. She had realized her mistake within months and wanted to make things right. But Dad was so hurt and angry that he refused to let her see me. He kept saying he thought he was protecting me, that he didn't want me to get hurt when she inevitably left again. But I think he was just being selfish. He didn't want me to have any relationship with her because he was afraid I might choose her over him. Finding out about this secret hurt even more than the gambling incident. He had kept me from having any relationship with my mother. All those years I spent thinking she didn't want me, feeling abandoned and unwanted by her, were based on lies. I tried finding my mom's current contact information online but haven't had any luck yet. Uncle Richard is helping me look for her, but it's been 15 years, and we don't have much to go on. Her name is pretty common, and we don't even know if she kept her maiden name or changed it. Dad keeps trying to explain himself, showing up at Uncle Richard's house or my workplace, saying he did everything for my own good. He claims he was trying to protect me from getting hurt, that he couldn't bear the thought of me going through the pain of her leaving again. But I don't want to hear his excuses anymore. He made decisions about my life without considering what I might want. He took away my chance to know my mother, and now he's taken away my chance to go to my dream college. I'm still staying with Uncle Richard and his wife Sarah, and honestly, it's been really good for my mental health to be away from Dad's drama. Their house is peaceful, and they both treat me with respect. Sarah has been incredibly supportive too, helping me look into other options for college, including some scholarships I might be eligible for. It's strange living in a house where adults actually ask for my opinion about things and listen to what I have to say. Yesterday, things got really bad. Dad showed up at Uncle Richard's house completely drunk. He started yelling in the front yard about how I was abandoning him just like my mother did, how ungrateful I was after everything he had done for me. He was making such a scene that the neighbors came out to see what was happening. Uncle Richard tried to calm him down, but Dad just got more aggressive. He started accusing Richard of trying to steal his daughter and ruin his life. It got so bad that Uncle Richard had to threaten to call the police before Dad would finally leave. The whole incident just confirmed that I made the right decision by moving out. Dad isn't thinking about what's best for me, he's only thinking about himself, just like he did when he kept those letters from me. Some of my relatives have been calling, saying I should forgive him because he's my father and he raised me alone. But how can I forgive someone who not only gambled away my future but also lied to me my entire life about my mother? Update 2. It's been about a month since my last update, and things have taken an unexpected turn. After the incident where Dad showed up drunk at Uncle Richard's house, things got more complicated. For the past few weeks, Dad kept leaving voicemails and sending messages, alternating between apologizing and accusing me of betraying him. He even tried getting some of his relatives to convince me to come back home. One morning, Uncle Richard asked me to sit down for a serious conversation. He and Sarah had been discussing something important, and they wanted to talk to me about it. At first, I was worried they were going to ask me to leave because of all the drama Dad was causing. Instead, they told me they wanted to formally adopt me. I was completely shocked by this offer. Uncle Richard explained that he had always felt responsible for me, especially since he knew about Dad's gambling problems long before the college money incident. He revealed some things that made me understand the situation better. Apparently, Dad's gambling wasn't a recent problem like I had thought. He had been struggling with it for years, probably since I was in middle school. Uncle Richard had tried to help him multiple times over the years, but Dad always refused to admit he had a problem. Whenever he lost money gambling, he would come to Uncle Richard asking for loans, always claiming it was for my education or our living expenses. Uncle Richard showed me a notebook where he had kept track of all the money Dad had borrowed over the years. The amounts were shocking. There were loans for supposed school trips that I never went on, textbooks that were never bought, and even medical expenses for treatments I never received. Richard kept helping because he didn't want me to suffer, but he realized now that he should have taken more direct action sooner. Sarah then shared her perspective. She had been watching the situation for years and had often suggested to Richard that they should do more to help me directly instead of enabling Dad's behavior. She said she had always thought of me as part of their family anyway, and making it official would just be formalizing what they already felt. The adoption offer came with another surprise. Uncle Richard and Sarah said they would fully support my college education, including helping me get into my dream university next year. They suggested I take this year to work part-time, possibly intern at Uncle Richard's company, and retake some classes to improve my application. They even offered to help me find a therapist if I wanted to talk to someone about everything that had happened. While I was still processing all this information, Uncle Richard revealed one more thing. He had hired a private investigator to look into Dad's gambling debts. He wanted to make sure there weren't any dangerous people Dad owed money to who might come looking for payment. The investigation revealed that Dad had taken out several high-interest loans from some shady lending companies. He had even put up our rental apartment security deposit as collateral for one of these loans. After learning all this, I decided to accept their offer of adoption. It wasn't an easy decision to make. Despite everything, there was still a part of me that felt guilty about legally separating myself from Dad. But I knew it was the right choice for my future. Uncle Richard and Sarah could provide the stability I needed to achieve my goals, and more importantly, they respected me enough to be honest with me. Dad found out about this somehow, probably through one of the relatives he had asked to talk to me. He completely lost it. He started sending me angry messages, accusing me of betraying him and saying I was letting Uncle Richard steal his daughter. He claimed that Richard had always been jealous of him and had planned this all along. When I didn't respond to his messages, he started posting angry rants on social media about how his daughter and brother had betrayed him. I blocked his number and all his social media accounts. Uncle Richard's lawyer advised us to keep records of all his messages and posts in case we needed them for the adoption process or had to file for a restraining order. The lawyer also helped us start the adoption paperwork. Since I'm over 18, the process should be relatively straightforward, but we still need to go through all the legal steps. Right now, I'm trying to focus on my future instead of dwelling on the past. Uncle Richard and Sarah have shown me what a healthy family relationship looks like. They've been helping me research colleges and scholarships, and for the first time in a long time, I feel hopeful about my future. Update 3. Hi everyone, it's been 3 months since everything happened, and I wanted to give you all a final update. The adoption process is moving forward smoothly, mainly because I'm legally an adult and Dad hasn't tried to contest it. I've started taking some community college classes to boost my transcript for next year's college applications, and I'm maintaining a 4.0 GPA so far. Living with Uncle Richard and Sarah has shown me what a stable, supportive family environment feels like. They actually ask about my day and remember the details I tell them. When I mentioned being interested in economics, Uncle Richard brought home some books on financial markets and offered to let me intern at his company's finance department. Sarah has been teaching me how to drive, something Dad always said he didn't have time for. The biggest news is that I finally managed to find my mom through social media. After weeks of searching and following different leads, I found her profile. She's living in Colorado now, married to someone different from the person she left with, and has 2 kids. I have half-siblings I never knew about. I spent days trying to decide whether to contact her or not. Finally, I sent her a message explaining who I was. She responded within minutes, and we ended up having a long video call where we both cried a lot. She explained her side of the story, how young and unhappy she had been in her marriage with Dad, how the other man had convinced her she deserved better, and how quickly she realized she had made a terrible mistake. She showed me a box where she had kept every newspaper clipping about my school achievements that she could find online or through distant relatives. While I'm not ready to have a close relationship with her yet, it feels good to at least know the truth. She's been very respectful of my boundaries and hasn't pushed for more than I'm comfortable with. She just wants me to know that she never stopped thinking about me and that she's there if I ever want to know more about her side of the family. My half-siblings, who are 8 and 10, were excited to learn they had a big sister. Dad made one last attempt to reconcile last week. He showed up at my workplace, saying he had joined Gamblers Anonymous and was getting help. He looked better, more put together than the last time I saw him. He said he was 6 weeks sober and had started seeing a counselor about his gambling addiction. While I'm glad he's trying to get better, I told him it was too late to fix our relationship. He kept too many secrets, told too many lies, and betrayed my trust too many times. He started crying, saying he understood now how much he had hurt me and that he would spend the rest of his life trying to make it up to me if I gave him the chance. But I realized that I don't want to spend my life waiting for him to become the father I needed. I told him I forgave him for my own peace of mind, but that I needed to move forward with my life without him in it. I'm focusing on my future now. Uncle Richard and Sarah have been amazing, helping me plan for college and teaching me about managing money responsibly. I've started therapy to deal with all the trust issues this situation has caused, and it's actually helping. I'm even thinking about majoring in psychology now, alongside economics. Sometimes I feel sad about how things ended with Dad, but I know I made the right choice for myself. My therapist says it's okay to miss the good parts of our relationship while still acknowledging that it wasn't healthy. I hope Dad sticks with his recovery program and builds a better life for himself. But my life is with Uncle Richard and Sarah now, and for the first time in years, I feel like I can actually plan for my future without worrying about everything falling apart. I probably won't update again unless something major happens. Thank you all for your support throughout this journey. It really helped to have people validate my feelings and support my decisions during this difficult time.